called Finding Peace in a Better We. On September 21st, 2015, a Seminole County judge on International Day of Peace declared my divorce as final. The irony, right? I thought so. I wanted so badly to feel at peace on that day, but to be honest, I felt torn. I felt as if a weight had been lifted, and I felt heavy with grief. I felt liberated, and I felt lost. I felt courageous, and I felt fearful all at the same time. After 22 years of marriage, I felt torn about my divorce. Afterwards, I set out to find myself my place in this world as a single, silver-haired, empty nesting, college-educated homemaker. I moved to New Smyrna Beach about 6 months later in March of 2016 in search of my new beginning, not really knowing what my new would look like. The first year, I just laid low, understandably. And I just managed through Hurricane Matthew. Some of you remember Hurricane Matthew. I managed through that with minimal damage and just very thankful that my new little home was still intact. However, shortly thereafter, when I still had piles of debris lining both sides of my street, a freak accident happened, and it was when my pool filter pressurized and it blasted itself into my face like a NASA rocket. As a result, it busted up my lip. It took out part of my upper jaw and 2.5 teeth. And so I went through a year and a half of reconstructive dental stuff. Heavy sigh, right? I don't know about you, but for me, sometimes bad things can give birth to better things that otherwise I wouldn't have noticed or even considered. The following day, my ex-husband texted me and he said, "If you need help, please ask." Our oldest son had come over and he had stayed with me the first night, so he had shared with my ex-husband what had happened. It took me about half a day to set my ego aside and to text back and say, "I need help." My ex-husband, I'll give him a name now, Patrick, drove over from the Orlando area, and he cleaned up the rest of my hurricane debris and he stayed with me for a couple days. As a result, we started talking again, and over time we started to think about possibly just maybe reconciling. That was about a little more than 3 years ago, and I described that time between then and now as a period of ebbing and flowing, and as a time of dredging up a lot of muck to clear a channel. There were a lot of things that contributed to our divorce, but at the very basic level, we were very different. Patrick is an analytical engineer. I am a creative writer. He is logical. I am a little emotional. He is action. I am contemplation. He is a little black and white. I'm a little more gray. He is a little more rigid. I'm a little more free-spirited. Needless to say, we had a difficult time navigating through life's difficulties together. The best way I can describe this to you, our reconciliation process, is to imagine yourself as a contortionist in your own body and being challenged to bend into places your body never went. For example, taking both your feet and putting them back behind your head. Our process was a little uncomfortable and sometimes painful. We had to bend out of shape, out of our shapes. But through this process, we somehow started living in this world that took our blacks and whites and grays and made them come alive and become more colorful. I learned a lot during this process. I can't possibly share all my newfound wisdom with you tonight. However, because I started with the word peace. I think it's appropriate to share two things with you. Number one, I learned, and I am still learning, that two-way communication is absolutely critical in any healthy relationship. We have got to start learning how to communicate. Two-way communication challenges us to learn how to communicate with clarity and with calmness, and to listen with understanding. Number two, I'm learning that growing and grounding in self is not an option, but a requirement in a healthy relationship. When we are more in tune with ourselves, our strengths and our struggles, our shadows and our shine, we are better able to engage with others. Growing in ourselves and grounding in ourselves challenges us to do a lot. And for me, it challenged me to find myself outside of mom, outside of wife, and outside of ex-wife. I've done a lot of work in this area over the past few years, and I'm learning to have a stronger voice and to also reconnect with my writer self and to build upon my English journalism degree that I worked my ass off for that. Growing and grounding in self and myself has been a journey in and of itself, and it's sometimes very difficult. It's not always clear, the path isn't, and it requires that I have a belief in myself and I have a lot of discipline to be a writer. It's very difficult. However, whenever I doubt myself or whenever I misstep or stumble, because we all do that, right? I think about this song, one of my favorite holiday songs called "Oh Holy Night." Does anybody know that song? Yeah. There's a line in that song that goes like this: "And the soul felt its worth." I love those words. It's not about a midlife woman finding her job. It's about, for me anyway, finding self, growing and grounding in self. And the soul felt its worth. September 21st, 2015, a Seminole County judge on International Day of Peace declared my divorce as final. The irony, right? Maybe, maybe not. Today, I still hate divorce. I hate that Patrick and I divorced, but I also understand that divides happen. Divides are always difficult though, whether it's within our homes or in our communities, within our country or our world. Divides are hard, but divides are divisive. However, I also understand that sometimes divides happen. It's life, right? And sometimes reconciliation isn't the best option. Sometimes divorce is best. However, for Patrick and me, an unpredictable freak accident presented an unpredictable opportunity that presented an unpredictable new beginning. We have been patiently working through our process and courageously bending a lot. And out of that process, we're finally at this place of reclaiming our original wedding date of April 3rd and reuniting, as husband and wife. Thank you. I've tried to practice this without getting emotional, but it's hard when I get to that place. But we're reuniting not as perfect people, but as better individuals, finding peace in a better we. Peace to all of you, peace to me, peace to all of us.